Hello everyone. It's a pleasure to spend time with you today. What is today? Anyway, today's Wednesday. I don't even know what date, March 4th, 5th, I think. But anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I think we just finished up our herb video, and so it should be available here in the next couple of weeks to a month, easy. Jennifer wanted me to round it out with a few things, so I rounded it out, and we should be done with this and get it onto production and out for you. And it's just all the formulas and why I created them and how you use them and that sort of thing. By the way, Marcy wanted me to cover this organic sulfur that is making its round. You ever notice most of you are very familiar now, are getting more familiar with how the mind works. You need to realize that mind has no self-awareness. Mind doesn't have consciousness to it. It's like the physical body. You take the intelligence, the awareness out, and it's just a clay shell. And the mind is very similar. It doesn't have any power unto itself, except when you plug into it. When you pull in and take on a mind, that mind is fed by your awareness. However, your awareness now is strictly reduced from an infinite awareness, an expanded awareness, way down. And then as you start getting below the universal mind, the mind that you take a little piece of off for yourself, that's called the causal worlds. And the causal world is where you start duality then at a really recognizable pace. And then you have the duality, and then thoughts rule. And thoughts are just is how the mind works. And the mind uses different images to compare, to analyze, to rationalize. It's the consciousness behind the mind that's looking at this and then taking its results, which is you. So you have to understand the mind is a totally separate instrument than you. And it's what we use to create and to function in duality. How we stack and move and create and take away and all that. The emotional body is a different, separate body again. And Jesus, all the spiritual giants talked about these different bodies. But the emotional body is the powerhouse of thought. In other words, your desire moves thought. And so this produces more activity, more creation, and then we start getting deeper and deeper into the world of materiality, and you lose more and more of who you are because you're taking more bodies on that restrict who you are, the awareness of who you are, putting you more in isolated branches of thought, desire, and that sort of thing. So if you look, most people are just simply working on thought and desire. Most people move from thought and desire. All the medical, everybody. That's how most people are. They're unaware because they're totally being led by thinking and their emotions. And those that are high intellectuals don't even have the emotional component well. They lack that. So you'll see in your clients that, and this has been referred to by the spiritual greats, including Jesus and Buddha, and many of the high spiritual masters, that the more intellectual you are, the harder it is for you to enter the worlds of heaven, because you're so trapped in thought and narcissism that it's hard to get out of that. And you'll see that. Here's an example. I can take two people down to the beach, and you've got a beautiful sunset. You've got the water's like a glare of ice and just blue and beautiful. And I can take an emotional person, which is more of a spiritual person, and I can take an intellectual, both to the beach. The intellectual will just look okay, nice, and leave. The spiritual or the emotional person will sit there and take in that essence, that beauty. And that's the difference. And so you have to be careful as an academically highly educated person that you don't let that drive you into ignorance and unawareness. And that's what's happening. We can design neat things, but look at the lack of awareness behind our academics. And because of that, we have wars. We're better than other people. We have gossips. We have a medical community out of control. And governments have set up entities that help the out of control. I mean, it's just like the FDAs and stuff. It's insane. There's not any true consumer protection agencies. Now, I get tons of letters every day from White House Watch, ACLU. I mean, I'm connected to a lot of groups that are dealing in law and going after this administration, because if we don't have these watchdog or spiritual groups like the Tea Party groups, it's just so out of control that it's just going to have this war. So you need the spiritual people now, the infusion of this into all levels of life. And that's why you guys are so important and so great. This infusion is on all levels. But one level that can't be denied is the health level. That will infuse people spiritually whether they want it or not. And it's just that they're driven because they have to, because the mind offers up no remedy. The mind is lost. And that's why you have to pull back and get away from your mind. Sounds wild, but let me tell you, try it. Prove me wrong. Learn how to live in the now and see the difference between the thinking processes and working in the now. How much awareness you have in thinking and how much awareness you have in non-thinking. And it's night and day. And so really important. Now, I want to get to a bunch of your questions. Oh, the sulfur thing. Now, the reason I got taken off on that is the mind, once it's conditioned, it likes to stay in patterns. And if you look historically, creation is just historic patterns. Patterns of the same thoughts and different souls, different times. This is just a school where each going through grade 1 through 12. Same grades every time. Just different people, different scenarios, but the same stuff if you look back historically. And that's what we're seeing in health. Here we go. Historically, urine therapy comes circling around. Well, you know what? Urine therapy is developed by people that don't filter. So when medical doctors and people looked at the urine, or biochemists looked at the urine and it wasn't filtering, he didn't know it wasn't filtering. And he's looking at the chemistry going, well, that's not so bad. You could probably drink it. Most people, including Survival Man and everyone else, knows you don't drink your urine. Everybody knows that. And when you're filtering, especially all the waste from your cells now, you're drinking back in. I mean, this is just stupid crap. And I tell you, man is so lost in his health, he's willing to drink his own waste. That's just bizarre. Sulfur compounds. Most of you are aware of sulfur, you guys, but we have a society there that's circling right down in the use of sulfurs again. And these storms are on the negative side of creation. Now, creation's got both sides. You can dwell in the positive and love and all you want, and then you've got the negative side. You can play on that side. Both sides are still of creation. Both are God. So the negative side is always going to pull you to that side. Oh, use the sulfurs, and these cycles go around and around, or more oblong, but we're over and over and over. Historically, we see the same thing. After a while, it's like, oh, please. But then it's time for you to go when you wake up to that. Realize that. It's time for you to leave this area of creation. You want a higher ability to express yourself. You want to at least be in heavens that are at least give you a nirvana experience, an experience of infiniteness to some degree. Here we're so claustrophobic, we live in little worlds of fear, and so we're afraid. Look at the people that are afraid of herbs. I was just talking about that on the herb video, of the fear people have around botanicals, which is so uncalled for and unjust. But that's what the people in the mental faculties and the academics and their medicals and all this, they're so afraid of all things. And it's like, we've got to discover that, you're lost. And when you're lost, then you have fear. When you know, there's no fear because you know the truth. There's no reason to have fear. And that's like, especially those of you guys that have been diagnosed with the C word, cancer. Got to lose that fear. Cancer's just a word for damaged cells. And we're damaging our cells, all of us, all the time. So just don't get too freaked out. You start seeing bumps and humps, get rid of them. That's your lymph system. So many people wait. They get lumps and humps until they can't wait too long. Look at this case, and I'm going to show this. Because this lady waited so freaking long. Now, no one knows who this is, so I'll show this real quick. Let me see one where you can't to see who it is, but to show you the massiveness. That's a breast tumor. And the medical doctor, when it was small, told her, let's just wait. Let's just wait. Let's just get that thing out of there yesterday. So whenever you start to feel humps and bumps, go detox right now. You got a friend that's feeling a bump, detox them out. Don't go to medical and end up getting yourself killed for no reason. Just realize which system those bumps and humps are in. The lymphatic system. These are not blood humps and bumps. These are lymphatic humps and bumps. You have to go after that system. So anyway, let me carry on here. I don't have a lot of time, but I do want to get with you here. This is from Alex. Hey, my dear Doc, sorry again for my English. Well, sounds good to me, man. I hope you will understand. Sorry for mine. You know, I'm an old country boy. My English is probably, but remember, my granny was a school teacher, and there's no such thing as proper English. Look at that. The same thing with Spanish. You know, you look around, and there's so many takeoffs. Why do some people have spiritual opening more naturally than others? Well, you have souls constantly coming and going. You have different beings constantly coming and going from this area and from a lot of heavens. You've got a lot of beings. This is like Grand Central Station when you get out of the body and you start to see all the activity. This is not only in major levels of heaven, but you've got all levels of frequencies and sub-levels. Now, I told you about Omnic, the lady from Venus who said the only reason you can't see Venusians is our frequencies are different. And that we, you know, and when you think about it, how interesting that is, you can see that in these pictures where if you step back, when you start learning how to read auras and seeing those are disembodied, especially still on this plane, more astrally, you can learn how to do that. And it's just getting unfocused with your mind and being more observant. That's all it is. So you have all these people, my friend, coming in here constantly. So you have souls. I've been in my travels, have talked to beings that have never had the physical experience yet. And that you're going to come into contact with all kinds of individuals like we are, maybe not with the same bodies, but individuals, and it's just we're all one. Let alone people that have trouble here getting along. Let me tell you what, lose your fear, because these universes are full of creatures and full of beings of every stature. So you got to lose your fear and be more of a God person. Walk with knowingness and power and strength. And that'll happen, especially with what you guys are doing. And you guys are doing so well with all of this. I'm so proud of you. And I'm sending a lot of people to the Facebook, guys. So, you know, be your practitioners, be on your best foot, your best dress, so to speak, and, you know, really help these souls through this. If you get stumped, write it in a letter to me, or one of you call up. How did you come up with this message you're spreading? You know what? Truth is recognizable when you have the eyes to see, Alex. The less you think, the more you see. It becomes quite simplistic and obvious to me. I don't know, it should be to man, don't you think? So it's really, if you take a look, it's just taking a look at what is without conditioned thinking. And I learned how to get beyond the mind years ago by reading J. Krishnamurti. He helped me to learn that thought was the problem. And that thought is conditioned. And conditioned thought has nothing to do with truth. It means that I can condition the way you think. And I don't want to do that. I want you guys to have the ability to see truth for what it is. And so that's why I teach you in the way that I'm doing here. Did your knowledge on the lymph system come, in other words, intuitively through, you know what? It's like Sherlock Holmes, you know, a good detective. And it doesn't take much when you really think about it, you know. You just have to take it. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You have to take all the pieces we know of and take a look at it. And then you realize, my God, how come we weren't aware of this simplicity in the first place? Because all the other animals are. That's the point, is the mind has got us way out of balance. We brought along the mind without bringing along spirituality. There's nothing wrong with academics as long as you have the spirituality behind it. Because you got to learn to use your mind and then to stop using your mind. And that's not what they're teaching. They're teaching you to get lost with the mind, therefore they can totally control you. You can be the Manchurian candidate. You know, and when you get outside of the mind, they can't control consciousness. Intuitiveness, definitely. Revelation, definitely. I work with a lot of spiritual beings. There's a lot of spiritual beings, though, that don't know all the answers. And you have to realize that even when you look at Twitchell's and you look at all these yogas and all these, the Singh families and stuff, don't look at these spiritual giants as being all-knowing. You'd make the gravest mistake of your time if you did. No one's all-knowing at this level. You can't be here and have that. There's a certain level of awareness that you can get. But after that, you're going to burn because it's just so much power. And, consciousness is power, is awareness. I can't even, there's no names, and it'll fry your bodies. So you have to be, your brilliance, each and every one of your brilliances have to be cut down to be here. So who you are is so great to who you appear to be in physical form. So just realize that, and look at when someone comes to you, look beyond their limitation and how they see themselves. Look at them as soul. When someone comes to you, see the God part of them. Don't see their body and the attitudes they picked up, because that's their little games they've been playing. See who they really are. See through where they're trapped, and you'll help them spiritually so much better, and yourselves. Because after all, you have your sukkah. I'm giving you all the tools to have God consciousness and have Wellville consciousness. You don't need any more. You just say, now out of love, you help others to find that conscious awareness and to stop using the mind so much in academics and use it. Because thought blocks intuitiveness. Where's the listener when you're thinking? He's watching your thoughts. He's involved in the thoughts. And that's you involved in your thinking processes. So when you step outside of that, you have the ability now to see thoughts and let thoughts go ahead. You can let your mind think, but you must learn, and that's some of the practice it just takes. Spirituality is simple to understand, but you have to work it. Because of the conditioning of the mind. The mind always wants to pull. Every time you get more awareness, the mind wants to pull you away. Look at health. You guys see the simplicity of it, but how many of you can keep it? That's the question. How many people of you can stay simple like this? Because the mind wants to grab you and pull you away. Like, let's add some sulfur back into the mix. That's the mind again. How many people are suffering from high sulfurs in the body? And this is coming around again? They don't get it. Only you guys get it, and those with high sulfur in the body get what sulfur does to you in the negative side. Great symptom treater. But it is so bad in its effect by using sulfur to treat that you'll be in Hellville for years if you're not careful. So the point again is, can you keep this simple? Because after all, if you can't, we lose it. Because simplicity is the key here. And the job is, can you keep it? Can you control your mind and not let the mind pull away like it did with Harvey Diamond, like it did with David Wolf, like it has with Brian? Of course, he's a walk-in now, I think, like all these other things. How can these people don't realize truth? And so you guys want to keep it always simple, because simplicity rules. You're going to struggle to keep it simple because people are going to go, well, what about this? What about interstitial? What was it you asked me, my friend? This is the electro-interstitial scanning. I pulled it. I want to read it before I make a comment, Organic Superman, on that. I just want to take a read of that. I have to say that I've always said the future is going to be in medical with scanning of electromagnetic frequencies. Not using them to kill like the Rife machine, although we could use them to treat maybe. But you're using them to perceive the vibrational frequency of the condition of cells, all the chemistry in the body. I doubt if that's at that level. Outside of that, remember, you have a dehydrated system down. And ask if your machine can rehydrate, get the kidneys to filter, and get this lymph filtering. If we can develop machines like that, then I'll eat part of the machine. So that's part of the problem, Organic Superman. I'll be back with you on that. I want to finish Alex here. What do you think about the power of art and aesthetic esoteric or something on people to help a society to regenerate? I think music, everything. I mean, look at the movies out there, and all the movies. I mean, Christ movies coming out, Son of God movies coming out. So you have a spiritual movie to some degree coming out, a little focused on Christianity though, but still you have a spiritual movie. But here's the thing, look at what the directors did. Because the devil, so to speak, looked like Obama, interesting, that they took that out. They bowed from pressure, and they cut all that seeds are on the floor, she said. They cut them all out. This is the thing about truth. If you can't take it, get off the pot. You got to be able to stand and handle it, guys. I know, and music, of course, is used in our society more for control than it is for etheric and enhanced awareness and that sort of thing. That's why I like Loretta McKenna. Inya's good. There's a whole host of the Buddha grooves, the yoga grooves. There's all those video or CDs. Just, all kinds of Om music, all kinds of Hue music, all kinds of music that's etheric. That's the kind of thing you want to listen to. That will pull you to God, pull you out of your body. But let me give you another challenge. Listen to the inner music. See, I don't like things outwardly so much, because listen inwardly. Stop listening so much outwardly and see if you can hear the music inside of you. Because as the spirit or the ek or the prana or the life force, whichever you wish to dub, that essence which flows from God that sustains all life, as it flows through you, as this essence flows through you, it strums music. And when you get to that place of the soul plane, it's the single note of the flute. But there's all kinds of music to listen to, and just pulling you out and taking you deeper into nirvana, into ecstasy, and into allness. You're pulling away from limitation, from fear, and you're becoming more of who you really are. And that is beyond satisfying. You start to realize that this is just a little dharma. This is just a little drama play. This is where you play your games, not who you are. Good questions there, Alex. I know something as music have a very strong influence on the magnetism and maybe spirituality. No, definitely. Binaural beats and isochrone sounds, for example. Not familiar with those, to be honest with you. I had to leave music way back to work. I'm one of those victims you see on like Voice, and they're telling their stories, except I'm so proud that some of those guys didn't lose their focus. They went out, they fed their families, they kept going with music. And so what happened to me is I left music because I had children I had to raise, and I was so poor I had to work in a factory all the time. And then suddenly I'm waking up into health. So it's like God ran me through the music side of that just enough to because music, it just rocks every atom in my being. Some music. I believe the sense of beauty and even the aesthetic and art of living is quite important, but your thoughts on the subject would be interesting, please. Absolutely, I think so. The creative arts. And this is why the shows, it's too bad that you have 2 music shows now going away. X Factor's gone, I heard, and then American Idol, I think that's going to be going. I think that we should never lose the creative arts. And that this seminar we want to have in a couple of years, this worldwide seminar, those of you that are musicians, and I especially like the lady that's got the Hell to Wellville tape, Detox Blues and stuff, she's good. And then there's the etheric, esoteric music that haunts and pulls and takes you on rides of clouds and rhythms of beauty. Absolutely. I mean, there's so much beauty to be had. It's sad that we're such a warring planet when all these beings, they don't need to be trapped in like that, But you know what? That's a judgment call, and to tell you the truth, it is the way it is, and it's the way it's supposed to be. God created that. And so it's a process of growth and understanding. and awakening. It's training itself to be responsible as an individual and to go out and to create as an individual. Imagine you dividing yourself off in endless pieces and educating and working on and developing each piece of yourself to become its own creator. How big can you get doing that? What's your opinion on water kefir? That's a good question, because I never heard of water kefir. I'm confused as to how it would be a good probiotic if the kefir grains must be fed sugar or a form of sugar. Here in frigid Indiana, I agree with you. I agree totally with you. And this is what I like about you guys, Darlene. You're aware, you're awake, you realize, you see through that. So when you see these new things and things come out, you guys are seeing through it. That is when you know you got it. There's some things going to come out that's good, but there's other things going to come out not so good. And let me tell you, you don't need to mess with probiotics. It is impossible to keep the microbial world out of your body. And don't even try. The medical now is in major confusion. Our antibiotics are being fed. We've fed them through the animals. Well, just talk about a racket this is and how much money the pharmaceuticals have been pulling in. Like Disney World. They pull in so much money, I was told by, I won't tell you who, but just stuffing bags full of money. They have to take them to a accounting center. There's so much money coming in. Now, the fear is all the animals have been on antibiotics, so when people eat the animal meat, they're eating antibiotics, and now they can get resistant, and da-da-da-da-da. These guys are so lost, it's not even funny. I mean, if it wasn't so hurtful to people, and people dying from Cipro and all these other things, it would almost be extremely laughable. But it is so devastating to tissue. Anybody ran on high antibiotics just screw their body up like nobody's business. And these guys are proud of that? I don't get that. If you want natural immunity, go out on a farm and start wallowing with hogs for a while and playing on farms. You'll have the best immunity out there. It's not about immunity. It's about filtering and the lymph system and how do you get rid of acids from the cells, all these toxins and things like that. This is all about that sort of thing, So we have to get away from this probiotic, antibiotic type of consciousness because, if you want probiotics, go to northern Alaska. The story I told you about the young lad with lymphoma and what the Eskimo elder told him to do. And it cleaned his lymphoma right out. If you want probiotics, go to that level. Not lactobacillus bifidus and those sort of babies. Go to the proteolytics. You want some boys. But why go there when you have to fix this whole problem in the first place? But Darlene, I'm proud of you. That's how you look at things. There isn't anything good about it. It doesn't matter. It's just funny. Man isn't satisfied with his food sources. And that's what all this is saying. And to me, that is a lack of farmers doing their thing. It's a lack of this country, but it's not the country, so it's just creation. We're waking up more and more and more. So now that we're waking up, we realize we're a tropical species. We need pyramid greenhouses and start planting fruit trees. Huge pyramid greenhouses. Fruit trees for everybody. Pick them right this time instead of not. And use organic fertilizers. And there's all kinds of compost and stuff you can use. Are you kidding me? We can make organic oranges this big, not California organic oranges this big. Never heard of such little oranges. Hello, Dr. Morris. Wow, what a pleasure it is for me to spend this time thinking about all the wonderful... Oh, thanks. Thanks, sweetheart. Thank you. This is Nancy. You are an inspiration to me. Oh, thanks. I hope so. Kind of get out of sorts here and there, but you know what? We have... Oh, man, just look at what's going on with the kids and stuff. We get this every day. There's another little girl. I wouldn't even want to read you it because I'll start crying. It's just you don't want to read it. Damn. What they're doing to these friggin' kids. Feel sorry for the parents. Yeah, pull myself out of that one. My current challenge. My name is Nancy from Allen, Texas. I'm familiar with Allen, Texas. Just north of Dallas. I know right where it is. I am turning 59 years young. I like how you think. On March 5th. Well, that's today. Happy birthday. That's good. Happy birthday, honey. When I was 28, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, okay? So first of all, you know one thing, your adrenals are down. Probably a lot of fungus at that time because the adrenals down. That can add to chronic fatigue. If your thyroid is down, check your basal temperatures under your arm. That'll even exacerbate chronic fatigue even more. In July of 2013, I was diagnosed with transverse myelitis in the hospital twice. At the end of January 2014, I was finally able to get off the steroids. Oh, and it's just the thing, it was just telling them that your steroids were down, that your adrenals were down and your lymph system was backed up. Therefore, acidosis was setting in no matter what they were calling it. Whatever itis and whatever location. Doesn't matter, location. It's still systemic acidosis. And it's that simple to understand, because when you have inflammation or acidosis in one place in the body, as a rule, it's systemic. Now, that's understood on top of what Jensen used to teach. Remember, we've talked about this. In the genetically weakened areas, the lymph system appears to be much more compromised. So there you could have more inflammation in one area over another, no question. With that understood, though, it's still a systemic problem. Thank God. I blew up like a balloon. I already showed you one little girl on this goes way back, but this is a little back to my photograph album. Only you guys, students, get to see most of these, so it's just these are real gnarly pictures, particularly. But I just feel sorry for some of these people. I wanted to show you this little girl here. I've showed you to her before, but it hurts you. It hurts the heart to know that a physician can take a little girl like this. That's a leukemia. That's a girl that died from leukemia, from the treatment of leukemia. She had leukemia, which isn't a cancer. Easy to cure leukemias for the most part. Easy to take care of these children. So what they did is gave her aggressive chemo. Of course, that gave her aggressive leukemia. Right? They just exacerbated her problem. And then they gave her steroids. And here her mother has to see her and live with her until she passed. I only had her for 1 week. Here's a case of removing a lymph node, which you should never remove a lymph node, particularly in the head. I won't even tell you. It's sickening. It's disgusting. And as you practitioners, we have to clean up these messes of the medical doctors all the friggin' time. That's what makes it sickening. They never have to clean up their own messes. They don't know how to. You're done. You're dead. Go home and die. Ugh. They're not true healers. Those medical doctors that are using these ways, those are better healers. All right. She blew up on these things during most days, and that's what steroids do. They fried this little girl like a piece of chicken. You wonder why I get warped? Anybody that cares has a hard time taking this. During most days when I am active, I have little to no pain. It's when I am trying to wind down from the day that things start to happen. Muscle spasms with muscle twitches come on, making deep sleep nearly out of the question. Okay, so remember, as activity of the day sets in, all this acidosis, because during activity sometimes you're moving lymph a little bit around. Maybe not filtering it out of the body, but you're kind of moving things around, kind of getting the fluids kind of moving. Soon as you're sedentary, wham, bam, it gets you. Because all these acids that you're creating now not only comes back to that area, but all the additional acids that you're creating is coming back. So the more acidic, of course, then you got your nervous system, the myelin sheaths. And of course, if you're already weak adrenals in genetic stances, you've got myelin sheath weakness already, prone to spasticity, tremors, and convulsions. And then you go on up with parathyroid weakness. If you have a parathyroid weakness, honey, that's low calcium utilization, you're going to trip from having simple spasms systems and and twitches to even deeper problems. So in a case like this, you want to always fix the parathyroid gland, no matter what, and then you want to move your lymph, and that's what this is telling you. This is the case, and you can see that, and you're saying, particularly as I create more acids, I get more spasticity. That's how I take that. So as you have to filter this out and get your detoxification going, sweetheart, all this will come out, and then all that inflammation around the nerves and all that will come away. If you have a parathyroid weakness, you'll get calcium utilization back, the myelin sheaths. As you pick up the adrenals as well, the neurotransmitters plus the calcium utilization, all this will have a re-strengthening effect upon the myelin sheaths. You can use herbs like brain and nerve number 2, which I would use. So I would get on the antispasmodic for the twitches and everything. Take that, maybe a dropper full every 3 hours to cut this twitches and things. At the same time, use upper circ, brain and nerve, get your adrenals up, get the kidneys filtering, go after this, get into the bowels, clean up the bowels, go into the detoxes. We lay it out here, and you pull yourself right out of these things. Doesn't transverse myelitis that came upon my body left me this transverse myelitis that came upon my body left me learning to walk again. Yeah, just remember though, it's all through you, sweetheart. Get your lymph filtering, and it'll come out of everywhere. Come out of the muscles, it'll come out of the vascular system, it'll come out of everywhere. And I also am battling incontinence. Okay, now we have a little tweak. What do you guys take on that one? Incontinence. Her sphincter is not closing good. And she probably has a lot of what in the bladder? Inflammation, interstitial cystitis sort of thing, but it doesn't have to be diagnosed. It simply means you have acidosis. But this is the lymph system, and this is tied to your muscle twitching and all this other stuff. Now, this tie, though, little interesting, parathyroid. This takes me right up to your parathyroid, guys. Look at this. She's losing the tone and strength of the sphincter. So she's very acidic in the wall of the bladder. Remember, this is in the kidneys as well, so this whole system needs to be fixed. So you want to work with it in that way and get this strengthened back up. So go after the parathyroid with the parathyroid glandular. Check and see if you have any pituitary relationships, honey. If your periods were irregular, you don't have your monthly cycles, I take it at 59, but see if they were irregular or your height and everything. See if you can pick up pituitary or get your picture of your eyes and really look at this. Numbing of the soles of my feet. So you're getting some neuropathies. And this is all about acidosis. And particularly in the bottom of the feet. I would get reflexology or have your husband or your boyfriend or whoever work on my feet. And really, work these acids around on the feet at the same time. Get your lymph filtering. Lack of energy, because that's the adrenals now, and that's tied to what? The kidneys, right? Sits on top, and that's tied to what? The great lymph system, which is what? The sewer system, and they control what? The acids in the body, right? And the acids build up what we use? Inflammation, right? So acidosis destroys nerves, tissues, everything else, right? Right. And restless feeling in the evening. Well, your nervous system is hyperactive, and you need more neurotransmitters out of your adrenal glands, so you get your adrenal glands healthy. You can use the antispasmodic to cool everything down as an antispasmodic, but then get the brain and nerve to strengthen, upper circulation, get up in here, strengthen. Your adrenals will strengthen the autonomic. Your GI tract, of course, you're going to strengthen your autonomic by cleaning what? The stomach. This is the stomach and solar plexus. That is your nerve ganglia for the autonomic. So you got to clean the GI tract to get to the autonomic as well. So you see what I'm saying? So it's all these parts of the body are important, but the more important tissues are the endocrine glands, the kidneys, the GI tract. Key. You can always clean the liver. You can always get the pancreas, the spleen. I currently eat one cooked meal a day at lunchtime with mostly raw, heading to all raw fruit for breakfast and lunch. Help! All right, honey. Well, I tell you what, sweetie, go to fruit all day long. Fruits, berries, and melons. I know it's cold, so once we get over this, fruits, berries, and melons all day long. Do your salad at night, and if you really want to dig in this baby, get rid of that salad and dig totally into fruits, berries, and melons. Enjoy yourself. The spring's coming, so really load up and get yourself well, honey. Get detox and strengthen that body up. But these are the areas you're having trouble with. Use the antispasmodic for the twitching and the tremors. At the same time, get in there, get the brain and nerve, upper circulation, hit the adrenals, kidneys, get yourself filtering, clean up those bowels, and you'll be good. Thanks, Nancy. This is Karen. This is a hole in my body made to drain lymph from my head. It's been oozing for 3 years. Now, she's got it right. You know, when your body's so locked, it's going to create a hole, or if you create a hole, it's going to use that hole. If you pull a tumor out with black salve, that hole could be there for a while, and more tumors come out of it. There's an opening. Let's go. Everybody run to the door. And that's just what you see. Decubitus, you nurses, you know about those. Decubitus on the butt from sitting all the time, like quads and pairs, people who are sedentary in beds. Not so on raw foods and herbs. But those that are not, protein diets, high lipids and stuff like that through milks and stuff, they're going to lose their tissues. They lose their kidneys, then they lose their skin, then they lose their muscles, and they lose all this. And so she's in. Let me show you this. Well, like I said, you can use heel oil tea lightly, not too strong, and hold it in your mouth. You could also use the new stomach tea, anti-inflammatory. You can use the 3-lung tea. Anything that astringes a little bit, but heals also the mucosa, astringes, pulls a little bit, but get your kidneys draining. Because when you see holes like this, it simply means you're not draining your head well. Now, if you have no tonsils, the point is, can you? And I don't know. I mean, this is things we're all going to have to work together to discover through the years what's up with that, and quit removing tonsils. And the lymph nodes, period. I got a case now. One of you guys has a case here that's been calling me on it, and this is a father with a lymph node removed, and he's in deep, deep, deep trouble. His leg is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it started after he removed the lymph node. And it's like, you don't do that, guys. So this medical doctor who removed the lymph node, they don't suffer. No, but this guy's suffering. And so, you know, if he can't get that, I told him, use sequential leg pumps. Do anything you can to try to squeeze and push that lymph up. Get those kidneys filtering as fast as you can. If you can get that done and use sequential leg pumps and get all on raw and get those kidneys filtering, you might be able to save this guy that way. If not, you have to remove the leg. All the way up to the hip. That's how disgusting and how important you guys are. I can't even underestimate the importance of you guys. I have to cut off here, guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this short. I will promise you I will come back Thursday afternoon and finish up all these and really try to get some stuff done. But I had to cut that first part of the morning. I had to cut that one video on herbs. But you know I love you guys, and I appreciate you, all of you, turning to this site, working on your health, helping others. There's nothing more joyous and more fun than that. And it's just such a pleasure. I'm proud of all of you guys. When I meet you in here for the first time, just thrilling. I met a couple of beautiful ladies from New York yesterday. You guys are just all great people. And keep it up. You know it, and take your rightful place as spiritual giants among the sleeping and help the sleeping. I love you all. You have a great day, and till the next video.